hear you now. Yes, we can hear you. Yes. Can I ask you to just speak a little closer to the microphone for those that are joining us online?
Okay, better?
Yeah.
Good afternoon and thank you for the warm reception. As mentioned, I'm currently an honours candidate at the University of Wits, and throughout my construction management course this year, I've been involved in researching domicology and how it can be beneficial to the Johannesburg built environment by aiding in the transformation of abandoned buildings within the city. So, the biggest question everyone asks is, what is domicology? Pioneered by Professors Rex Lamour and George Bergwan at the Michigan State University about 5 years ago, domicology is the study of the socio-economic and environmental characteristics relating to the life cycle of the built environment. Also explained through its definition, it's the study of abandoned structures, policies, and practices that result in abandonment and ways that we can mitigate the negative social, environmental, and economic implications of that. To summarize the 4 aims we have on the slide, it encourages us to think of the life cycle of structures in a cyclical manner and not linearly, by considering a lifetime of resources inclusive of construction and demolition waste. To understand this further, let's take a look at the city of Detroit, one responsible for the establishing of domicology. Once famed for being the total industrial landscape of the United States, deindustrialization has seen the city become a victim of an estimated 900 vacant manufacturing sites and 80,000 abandoned households as of 2018. The image on screen is of the Packard Automotive Plant, which is a 330,000 meter square facility that has been dormant since the late 90s. The population loss experienced in Detroit since the year 1950 is an astonishing 60%. Urban blight and structural abandonment have led to widespread issues such as increased crime, loss of property value, and a decline in the general quality of life. The city now sees itself in a phase of regrowth, aspiring to build upon the industrial powerhouse it once was. This is where domicology seeks to assist. By focusing its efforts on whole life thinking and sustainable development, it aims to highlight the challenges that derive from the multifaceted nature of blighted infrastructure. The primary goal it aims to realize is the maximization of materials and resources, while minimizing the negative impacts at the end of a structure's useful life. This is to be achieved by deconstruction methods and reuse where demolition can be avoided. With this being an all-encompassing research area within the built environment, there are many aspects required in order for it to experience success. These approaches fall in line with all the elements relating to socio-economic, business, and construction philosophies as depicted on the Venn diagram. According to a 2018 figure by former Mayor Mr. Herman Mashaba, the Johannesburg CBD is currently home to around 500 derelict buildings. A lot of these were abandoned during the transition of economic power from Johannesburg to the north of Gauteng. As areas such as Sandton and Rosebank began to develop, buildings in the Johannesburg CBD were forgotten, with most hijacked by illegal squatters looking for any sort of housing within the city. The converse to Detroit, however, is that Johannesburg is experiencing an annual growth in population, with it being the highest compared to the national population growth. This greatly increases the need for action in providing safe, livable space. So, what is the city doing about it? There have been multiple inner redevelopment initiatives that look to rescue these buildings and develop them into affordable living space as part of government-driven policy. With a 20 billion rand investment in 2020, projects such as Towers Main and Jewel City kicked this process off. This was brought about by the need for accommodation within the city of Johannesburg, which is facing a housing backlog of around 457,000 people. With an additional 15,000 people coming into the city every month, the existing stock of abandoned buildings provides a perfect platform to develop the city as people need a place to stay. Reusing historic buildings for providing affordable housing is a tool to offset the negative social, economic, and physical effects of both globalization and abandonment of buildings. As such, in the past year, the Johannesburg social housing company, Joshco, has managed to develop 330 units of housing, which shows great promise for the future. However, no real strategy has been put in place to deal with the overall gardens. The existing case study research has been implemented on businesses within Atlanta, Georgia, and Baltimore, Maryland.
The focus was to identify practices and strategies that could potentially facilitate the growth of private impact on salvage and deconstruction related activities. The first case study on the left, being the Lifestyle Business Center in Atlanta, operates out of a previously abandoned century-old warehouse in an area of the city plagued by blight and structural abandonment. With an excess of 254 million kilograms of potential waste diverted from landfill sites in a 10-year time frame, as well as public workforce training programs, the vision of the firm is to foster sustainable communities where the built environment supports the natural environment. Moving on to the one on the right, the Human Hand Social Enterprises is a non-profit organization that was initially involved with providing services to people with disabilities and has now grown to provide workforce development and social enterprise throughout Maryland and Delaware. Through their subsidiary Details Deconstruction, partnerships with local government and public enterprise have allowed for the successful recovery of salvageable construction materials. In a 4-year period from 2015 to 2019, an estimated 1.2 million bricks and in excess of 1,000 cubic meters of lumber were salvaged from 350 vacant row houses in Baltimore alone. Having provided 185 employment opportunities to locals, they have assisted the community by hiring previously incarcerated members of the public, which make up 75% of their workforce. So how does this help the city of Johannesburg? By studying an extract of the draft integrated development plan published by the city this year, we can see the city needs a new method of thinking to mitigate the key environmental sustainability issues it faces. Taking just this example, with the prime objective being to focus on the demand for natural resources, dome ecology has the potential to immediately make an impact with its deconstruction and reuse approach. Granted, it will not be an instant fix. However, when aligned in context with other goals and objectives set out within the development plan, it is clear that a large proportion of these goals can be achieved via the use of dome ecology, as per the outputs of the conceptual model. It has the potential to save on cost, provide employment opportunities with additional development, all while building towards the future of a smart city. The abandonment of buildings within the Johannesburg CBD has led to growing economic challenges for the residents within the city, intensifying issues such as housing delivery as well as overcrowding. Many of the illegal occupants within these abandoned structures are usually under the poverty line. This has provided a basis for a strategy of transformation to be implemented. The current life cycle of buildings sees the focus shifting towards the fourth industrial revolution. With technologies such as BIM integrated design and CAD software, it makes it easier than ever before, all while needing to be in accordance with the principles set out by policies within the Global C40 Initiative and Net Zero Carbon 2050. Dome ecology is a research tool that can be implemented in making sure this happens sooner rather than later, for the benefit of Johannesburg, a world-class African city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions in the room? Well, I certainly have a question. The minute you throw numbers like 20 billion rand investment, we become a little bit alive, to want to know. And I'm going to ask you this question in a few folds, right? Firstly, where's this investment coming from and who's actually managing it? And where do we keep up with the update of the progress of the projects?
So the update actually came from the city of Johannesburg because they do have initiatives in place. So they have a inner city transformation roadmap that's outlined in the development program that I've put on the slide. But as of now, from what I could see, it's a lot of just general outlines of what should be done, what can be done. And it was initially started, like I said, by the former mayor, Mr. Ahmed Mashaba. But since his tenure ended, we've lost, unfortunately, 2 of the mayors after him. And now with the local government elections, we're unsure where the rest of the 20 billion is going to go to. But we're hoping it's going more towards the inner city and trying to develop it to meet sustainable goals.
So you're quite an interesting contact to keep if any of you want to keep up with those projects and how far they're going in case there's some sort of collaboration that you can get into with the Joburg team from the local municipality. Another round of applause for you, Mohammed. Thank you.